All right, folks, as we look across this crypto landscape, we're looking for that next 10 bagger. I might have just found it for you guys. 10x on the conservative side. We might even be able to squeeze some more out of this one. Incredible opportunities, strong fundamentals, and a strong American-based crypto narrative. We're talking Constellation Network's DAG token. It's DAG is the ticker. Token's been around since 2017. I'm going to give you a full breakdown here in this update. Going to add this to our 2025 coin review playlist. I hope you've been enjoying these deep dives. And comment down below, let me know which ticker you want me to review next. Hope you guys are appreciating this content. And if you do, make sure you're liking these videos, helping us out by sharing them out far and wide. And all of our community resources are available at zachrector.com. Let's check it out. Now to get started here, I want to break down the who, what, why, and how many tokens are we dealing with. So the Constellation Network went live in 2017. The tokens are called DAG tokens. DAG is the ticker. Constellation Network Inc. is the entity that was created by Ben Jorgensen, the current CEO and founder of this company that's behind the project. You also have the Stardust Collective, which is a grassroots organization or foundation for the development and ecosystem of the Constellation Network. So similar to the setup with XRP, Ripple, and the XRP Ledger Foundation, you have DAG, the token, the Constellation Network Inc., which is the entity out of San Francisco, and then you have the Stardust Collective, which is a global, worldwide group or consortium that is moving the network forward and fostering more development in the ecosystem. Now, the amount of tokens that we have, you need to disregard what CoinMarketCap is reporting. The most recent stats that I'm seeing is from CoinGecko, which includes 3.5 billion tokens for DAG. And most of that supply is circulating from what I can see. And right now, the current price is about 4.5 cents. And so for Constellation Network, this is a token that's been around for quite some time, since 2017. We saw the all-time high was in 2021 at 45 cents. And as I started off mentioning in this episode, we might be looking at a 10 bagger or a 10x opportunity here with DAG, and that would be taking us, back to that previous all-time high of about 45 to 50 cents. And I'll explain more of that price prediction later in this episode. In this update, I'm not going to break down the technology in depth. What this is, though, is a layer 0 blockchain. It's a foundational base on which you can add layer 1 blockchains, or in this case, what they call metagraphs, on top of that layer 0. So it's a foundational layer which allows for a lot of scalability and throughput. So basically each metagraph or layer 1 blockchain that gets added onto it has its own network of validators. So you can really focus in your network throughput and scalability within that specific vertical or metagraph. Now, as it stands right now, March 14, 2025, there are currently only 4 metagraphs that have been built on top of Constellation DAG so far. But I've been updated by some members of the community that there are additional metagraphs that are set to be integrated later this year. And so there are more on the way. But as it stands right now, there are only 4. So I'm going to show you here real quick. This is from the DAG Explorer. And what this shows us is the list of metagraphs. This top one is the federal metagraph. And this is the metagraph, or the layer 1 basically, that they've built for the work with the Department of Defense, with the Air Force, and with other government entities in which Constellation Network has been contracted to work with. So this is a private metagraph where nobody else can really participate this unless you've been given permission. The snapshots are hidden, and I'm going to explain the snapshot and the fees later. But this is a private metagraph, but it is still using DAG tokens to basically lock up and secure the data in which is being put onto these blockchains. So how this network works is you need to stake DAG so that you can lock up your share of the data that's going to be running through this blockchain, or the layer 0 level of the protocol. So you can see here on the metagraphs list, you have federal, which is that federal government metagraph. You have the DOR, Alpaca, and then Common Crawl. But there are a few others on the way right now, but they got to start here with some decent ones. And despite that list being small, I've always said, the number one thing that I ask of any project that I'm reviewing is who's actually using your token. And in this case, although their list is small of Metagraphs, I mean, it gets pretty solid there when you got the Department of Defense and basically you're working directly with the government. That's a pretty substantial partner, right? If this is a meme coin that's just being driven by retail speculation and hype and momentum, then you're not looking for it to be used by institutions, banks, and governments, right? But this is a real utility token, and so this is the type of partnerships that we're looking for. And the Department of Defense contract goes all the way back to 2019, actually, and they've successfully concluded phase 2 of this pilot process back in 2023. Ongoing relations and contracts are still there for Constellation Network. So this is a relationship that they've fostered for a few years now, and we've been getting nothing but great feedback as far as how that partnership is played out, securing a lot of sensitive data. I mean, this is literally, satellites, drones, different types of sensors, and I mean, just so much data that's being transmitted across our military, and so it has to be secure. And it seems like Constellation Network has been put to the test here with this partnership, and it looks like they've been doing very well with that. Now, the main use case for the DAG token is securing the network and paying for fees. So for each one of these metagraphs that I just showed you guys, you need 3 validator nodes, and each one of those nodes has to stake 250,000 DAG. So for each one of those metagraphs, 750,000 DAG has been staked. But if you want more throughput, if you need to be able to scale up the transactions and the amount of data that you're going to be running through the blockchain, you're going to want to stake even more. So basically, this network incentivizes validators to stake more if they want more throughput. And at the bare minimum, you have to stake 750,000 to even start up a metagraph. One more thing that I want to plug in on the staking is that you can reduce the amount of fees that you pay by staking more. So they're providing additional incentives for people to stake more DAG so that you can pay less in fees for all of your transactions and throughput. This brings me to one of the first challenges that I see hindering the adoption of the DAG and Constellation Network, which is just how expensive it is to actually start up a metagraph. Now, if you just round up to 5 cents and you times that by 750,000 DAG tokens, that would be $3.75 million to start up a metagraph. I don't know if there's any plans in the future to adjust this, because obviously at a 5-cent DAG, you're talking nearly $4 million to start one. That's pretty spendy. But if you go up to 10 cents, 20 cents, 50-cent DAG, I mean, you're talking about tens of millions of dollars to start up a metagraph. And so I'm curious, and I'll have to look into this further, if there are any plans down the road to make this a little bit more accessible. Obviously, focusing on enterprise use cases, maybe $3 to $4 million for the government, obviously not too much, or for other large corporations and institutions, this is probably affordable. But to get bigger retail adoption, this would have to be lowered substantially, or something else would be, need to be done. Micro metagraphs. I don't know what the solution would be, or if this is something that they're even considering, or maybe they just don't care because they're targeting that enterprise use cases, institutional and governments, central banks, etc. They're not really too worried about basically getting retail to fire up metagraphs on their own. So I don't know. Brings me to my first, cause for concern, I guess, when looking at this project. I don't know how big of a deal this is, but if anybody in the comments knows more on this, please let me know. Next, I would like to talk about the delegated staking that they have just rolled out for their network. If you're holding DAG and not utilizing it, you'll soon be missing out on a valuable opportunity. This is their upcoming delegated staking system powered by Metanomics. It's set to revolutionize the ecosystem, allowing you to earn passive rewards while contributing to network security. What is delegated staking? It allows holders of DAG to stake their tokens with trusted validators without running a node themselves. In return, they earn rewards based on both fixed and variable emissions, creating a win-win system for both delegators and validators. So this is a great way for you to earn some yield on your DAG tokens while you are holding it. I don't know if they've gone live with this yet, but it looks like you can just pick your list of any validator, you can delegate your DAG, and then you're going to earn rewards in a fixed 3% APR plus 45% of all variable emissions generated by inflation. The validator fee, a small percentage between 5 to 10% of your earnings, goes to the validator for their services. And this brings me to their updated tokenomics, which they're rolling out here in Q1 of 2025. This brings me to really the only other cause for concern that I have with this project is that they have just introduced inflation. Now, they call this basically dynamic inflation. What do they call this? Flexible supply inflation. I got to check my notes here. They say that it's going to be capped at 2 to 3% annually based off of network usage. So basically, the supply of DAG tokens is going to be inflated, but only at about 2 to 3%. And this is actually going to be diminishing over time. So eventually this inflation does go away, but I don't know what the schedule is. And then the fact that it's based off of network usage and kind of dynamic and free flowing doesn't make it concrete. Now, for me in the cryptocurrency space, I don't like projects that are inflationary, and especially not projects that don't provide consistency, but it looks like they've taken the control away from any human decision maker, and they've put this into some sort of algorithm that they've created that determines how much is going to be created based off of network usage and how much DAG is being burned. So they're reporting and saying that the inflation is going to be offset by the tokens that are burned through that snapshot fee. And basically what this is, before this update was rolled out, the network would take snapshots every so often, and you would have to pay those fees to, and I'm assuming that they went to validators before. In their updated tokenomics, those snapshot fees, which are based off of how much data and how much throughput you got going on the network, that is now going to be burned. So basically, they're creating tokens on one side, this inflation or flexible supply. On the other side, the transaction fees, or as they call them, snapshot fees, are now going to be burned. And so I don't really know what the reasoning is why they decided to roll out these tokenomics and what the plan is or the ideas behind this. But I'm looking forward to listening to the CEO, Ben, speak on this more. Maybe other people in the community can let me know what your thoughts are on this. But this is an updated staking program that they're rolling out. This gentleman right here, I have no idea how to pronounce his name, but he says that he's building Constellation in the Upsider AI. So it looks like he's a developer that's involved with the project. And he put out a video right here about earning rewards on Base while learning and earning rewards on Constellation. So I am going to link this video up down below. It's a 2-minute quick video, and you can watch this one if you want to learn more. And I'll also put some other resources there to learn more about the staking and the updated delegated staking here that they've now rolled out. Also, the updated tokenomics that go live here in Q1 of 2025. When you go to engage with this ecosystem, their main wallet appears to be the Stargazer wallet. I'll link that up down below. And then the main place or hub for all of their DeFi seems to be taking place over here on the Lattice exchange. So this post put out by Lattice Gateway on X says the gateway to Constellation Network's Web3 ecosystem, fueling innovation with DeFi, Project Launchpad, staking programs, node management tools, and governance via VeLTX. I'm going to link that up down below for you guys. So you have the Stargazer wallet, you have the Lattice exchange, and Lattice exchange also has a ticker LTX tied to it. I know many people have been asking me to review that project and that token. I will do that in a separate update. I have been very impressed by Constellation Network's presence in DC as the United States of America is about to roll out crypto regulations, the most pro-crypto Congress we've ever had. And so for any project, you see companies are rushing to get back into the United States of America. The good thing for Constellation is they never left, and they've been working with our government since 2019. The Department of Defense finished the phase 2 trial with Constellation back in 2023. And so now they're in the next phase. I don't know if that's phase 3, but there is still an ongoing relationship there with the Department of Defense. Furthermore, Ben Jorgensen, the CEO and founder of Constellation, is going to be speaking at the DC Blockchain Summit. That's going to be on March 26th. And then there will be another roundtable with representatives from Constellation present, Benjamin Diggles, Aidan Clifford from Panasonic. And Panasonic is one of the groups that's going to be going live with their Metagraph here shortly. You have Chris Tolles, who will be on stage with them. Common Crawl is already one of the existing Metagraphs. And then they will be joined by Eric Bethel, distinguished fellow from the Digital Chamber. Another roundtable that they were present at was with this one, the White House Crypto Council Executive Director, Bo Hines. And I don't know if you can see in this picture right here, but basically that is Ben Jorgensen right there next to Bo Hines. And so the presence there in DC, you definitely can see it. I'm going to bring your attention next to this article here from Invez.com. This was an interesting article that came out speaking on Trump's Space Force sending crypto to the moon or crash it to hell. And what they're talking about here is the U.S. Space Force is investing $1 billion in its R2C2 program to upgrade satellite technology. And what this is and why it's important, they reflect on this tweet here from Dagnum PI, who seems to be a pretty big voice within the Constellation network community, but he put together a whole thread on why this is bullish for Constellation DAG, the upgrades to the Rapid Resilient Command and Control program. This is next-gen cloud-based ground control for satellites. They're scaling this system for orbital warfare. And a lot of what this DoD contract work goes back to is securing the most sensitive data. Think about drones, satellites. You got soldiers on the field transmitting data back, right? All of this needs to be secured, and it appears that this seems to be the most common use case and what they've been testing out with the Constellation network. Now, as I mentioned, I put this tweet out here asking the community to help me out as far as who else is running a Metagraph, because when I looked through the list, I only found 4, and it turns out that that was correct. Dagnum PI, he did respond here and said Panasonic Metagraph is about to go live, along with ones from National DigiFoundry and Base Ecosystems. He also says, let's not forget about the DEX that's also about to launch. So once again, the number one question that I ask of any project is, who can you get to actually use your token? And I mean, for some of these projects, can you even get in the room with some of these institutions, right? I joke about some of these projects, how they can't even get these institutions to pick up the phone. If they showed up at the front door, security would be kicking them out. But it's very clear the Constellation Network is not only in the room, sitting at the table, but they have real deals going down here, real usage of the token too, which was one thing I was concerned about when I first looked up this DoD partnership. I was asking the question, as I normally do, okay, great, you're consulting, you're working together, you're doing photo ops, but are they actually using the token? And then when I went to the DAG Explorer, I could see that yes, obviously it's a private Metagraph, and so the snapshots are hidden behind that, but you can see how much DAG has been burned in fees, and you can see how much DAG is being locked up in that Metagraph, and it's a pretty substantial amount. One final point that I'd like to make before we get to the price predictions and the fireworks and the 10 baggers and the fun stuff is I'd like to mention what I'm looking forward to and I'm going to be following up on with this project. So over the course of the next year or two, we're going to get broader cryptocurrency regulations passed. And so not only with Constellation Networks DAG, but with all the other projects that I've invested in, I'm going to be looking to see what kind of traction and adoption can they actually get. Right now for the Constellation Network, it's a small list of Metagraphs and basically enterprises that are using this technology, right? You got the government, that's great. You got a few other players. They got some cool things cooking with their ecosystem. They've been able to merge the base community now's tapping in. They got some memes. They got some cool stuff going on. And it sounds like they have a DEX on the way as well too. That's all great. The technology is fantastic. But one of the things I'm going to be looking at closely over the next 12 to 24 months is who else can they get to join Constellation Networks ecosystem, who's going to be holding the DAG token, who's going to be setting up a Metagraph. That's what I'm going to be following up on in this project and many of the others, because there will no longer be an excuse, right? With regulations passed, we know that the institutions will have a green light. So it's time to put up or shut up for a lot of these projects. And although they have some impressive players already on the list within their ecosystem, I'd like to see more. So that's the one thing that I'm going to be following up on. The fundamentals so far look great. The technology, fantastic, more advanced than many blockchains, with the scalability here seemingly endless. The only constraint that I noted was the price to play in this ecosystem is a little bit costly, So I'll be looking for them to address that. I'll be looking for them to address the inflation and see how this flexible supply inflation dynamic actually ends up playing out. And then the final point is to see who else can they get to adopt and come into this ecosystem. All right, now that we got the fundamentals out of the way, let's talk about making some money. As I mentioned, we might be looking at a 10-bagger opportunity. I picked up my DAG a couple days ago at 4.5 cents. All it has to do is go back to its previous all-time high, and I got myself a 10x. I'm going to pull up CoinGecko here. Remember, CoinMarketCap does not have updated tokenomics, and this is going to be subject to change going forward, so hopefully CoinGecko can keep us up to date. But what we're looking at right now is a price of 0.046 for Constellation DAG. The market cap is 166 million with 24-hour trading volume only at 2.8 million. So this is a very small project, not much attention, and really not an incredible amount of momentum behind it right now. But I'm going to show you the TA here shortly, and you're going to see this thing's getting ready to pop off again. And it doesn't have to go far for us to be making considerable amounts of money on this one. 3.5 billion circulating supply. But like I said, this is going to be subject to change with their new tokenomics that they've introduced in that inflation supply. So we are going to see this changing. But right now, 3.5 billion tokens. Back in 2021 is when this token went up to its previous all-time high, 45 cents on August 25th, 2021. We fast forward here to where Constellation DAG is at right now. It did about 300% after the election. So like many of our other utility coins, pumping 300%, 500%, 600% plus, these utility coins, especially based in America, seem like they are primed and ready to perform really well this bull run. Now I'm going to tap into some TA here from my good friend Bunny Boy Time on X. I found his analysis to be pretty straightforward. Makes a lot of sense to me. The way that he's looking at this is he's looking at the market cap chart. And what the market cap chart does is it includes the token supply or the inflation. So if you're just looking at the price chart in 2021 versus now, what's not going to be accounted for is the amount of new tokens in circulating supply. This is something that needs to be considered because it's going to impact the amount of basically bag holders that are waiting to sell this token and account for the dilution of those holders by ongoing inflation. So shout out to Bunny Boy. He shares this DAG market cap chart here. This was just a few days ago. He says he pulled the price action down. He was having an API issue, but he pulled up the market cap chart and he's showing us the structure on this thing. We have wave 1 and 2 wrapping up for DAG in wave 3. If we get midway up between the 1618 and the 2618 fib, we will get a 1,800% return. That would be an 18x. If we do a full extension, we're looking at a 38x, 3,800% if we do a full extension up to that 4.236. On the conservative side, if we only complete this third wave, or if we do a consolidated 3, 4, and 5 waves here, we might only end up here between the 1618 and the 2618, and you're looking at about an 18x. The way this translates back to the price chart is if you look right here, DAG right now at about 4.5 cents, and it actually did backtest right down to this level of about 3.5 cents the other day, as I was expecting it to, and I didn't pick it up on that low. I waited to get that confirmation, and then I picked mine up while it was at 4.5 cents. But from this current level, if you run 18x up from here, you're talking about a 60-cent DAG token. I do anticipate that we're going to see sell pressure come in around that 45 cent to 50 cent range. Big psychological number, and it's the previous all-time high, so you already know that we're going to be meeting some resistance around this level. Personally, I will be looking to take profit right at about this level, 45 to 50 cents, because I will have achieved a 10x, right? And I know people in the crypto space want a 50x, 100x. Sometimes you can just be thankful and appreciate a 10-bagger, right? It's pretty nice, right? But if we do end up getting that full 18x, you're talking about a 60-cent DAG. That's not too bad at all. The full extension, a 38x, would bring us up to about $1.20 for DAG. I don't see it happening, right? I just got to be honest with you guys. I don't see that happening. $1 will be way too big of a psychological number. Many people have been holding this while it was at 2 cents, 3 cents, 4 cents. Basically, a lot of people are in this token under 10 cents. And so by the time it gets up to $1, it's a 10 bagger for everybody. And a lot of people are going to be hitting the exits. The other thing that I account for is the new inflation. I don't know how much that'll play into effect, but it is something to consider. And that's why it's nice to look at the market cap chart, which does account for the token supply, right? Market cap is the last traded price by the existing or circulating supply, and that's going to give you the market cap. So when you're looking at this chart here and just going up to its previous all-time high of 45 cents, you buy this token today at 4.5 cents, you got yourself a 10x. If it does extend up further, which looks like there is a good chance of that happening, right? 50, 60 cents, you're talking about a 15x, a 20x. That is nothing to complain about and is everything that I'm looking for in this bull run right now. I've been talking about projects that we can buy right now and catch 3 to 5 baggers if they just go to their previous all-time high. With this DAG opportunity, if it just goes to its previous all-time high, we're looking at a 10 bagger. See, this is what gets me excited. And this is why in the middle of my deep dive research, why I had to buy some right away. I saw that confirmation on the technicals while I'm researching the fundamentals, and I say, yeah, it's time to get some of this token. So I bought the DAG token on Uphold. I have them linked up down below. If you guys are new to Uphold, you can use my link. It is a way to support the cause. There are other platforms on there. And it is one other thing that needs to be done is they do need to get on bigger centralized tier 1 exchanges. And I was just listening to the CEO, Ben Jorgensen, on a podcast yesterday. And he did say that a Coinbase listing is in the works and that they're very excited. Like I said, they're working with the base community. And he said that they're very excited to work with Coinbase in particular. He loves what they're doing over there. And so I do expect DAG to get listed on Coinbase sometime later this year. And so now's the time to get in, right? And then Coinbase listing will go live. And maybe that's where we find some exit liquidity as DAG runs up in the meantime, upwards of that, 40 to 50 cents. An incredible opportunity here that we're looking at for DAG. Now, just like with many of these other altcoins, and these are all utility coins that I've been looking at, after I sell off my position and take some profit, I will be looking at re-entering in on these coins. And that's going to be based off of the fundamentals that I see going forward. Like I said, I'm going to follow up on the token inflation and the adoption. I want to see who can they get into this network, who else is going to run a Metagraph. And that's going to determine whether or not I want to make entries back into these altcoins, okay? So for DAG and so many of these others, I do plan on selling off a large percentage of my portfolio. But with that being said, I'll be taking a hard look at this project and seeing if I want to re-enter it, after it comes back down and builds a new floor price and starts to catch some support. I may be looking to re-enter in on this one. But I'll be following up on this project and many others that I've done here. Once again, I'll be adding this to my 2025 coin review playlist. Let me know in the comments down below which project you would like me to review next. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this update, this deep dive that I've done here on DAG, my price predictions. Do you think that this is possible? I think that it's incredibly conservative. And the fact that we're staying conservative and still looking at a 10 bagger is why I love the opportunities here in the cryptocurrency space so much. So if you appreciate what we're doing, make sure you like this video. If you're new here, subscribe, hit that notification bell. All of my community resources are available at zachrector.com, and I greatly appreciate your support. We'll see you in the next one. God bless you all. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.